I awakened on a peaceful Tuesday morning to a warm summer breeze with my sweatpants in their usual losing battle against the Kraken, but this time directed at my yearnings being answered due to the Borderlands comeback I was preparing to enact as I impatiently fondled my PC's power button, opening the classic starting screen where I vaguely remember chortling quite vividly when I first played this literary masterpiece. Every third word was met with a responsive knee-jerk convulsion somewhat resembling the same maneuver someone trying to hurtle their lungs out would perform. After my vivid recollection of Borderlands 3 and it looking similar to an attempt at slapstick comedy if it was performed by one beset with constant seizures,
remember me, like a foot taller.
I stinks!
Making my console and Helen Keller one and the same, just for the opportunity to play this game without a permanent state of my face appearing to have throated a handful of sour warheads, wondering whether my mother missing me is enough to counteract the team of 5-year-olds they evidently hired, and what I can only assume to be a research attempt at a new brutal method of psychological torture, tabled shortly after as too inhumane even for the CIA to use. Thankfully, I can come back to actual funny comedy.
I hate to send you away, great company and all, but I gotta take it up.
This shit was ass from the start! After the secondhand embarrassment of realizing I enjoyed the dialect shared by the local preschool of the first game, I can safely conclude that the gameplay was, and is still indeed, orgasmic. In fact, I was forced to restrain myself to no more than 10 minutes at a time, lest I make to join the local meth head, offering the services of his anal cavity in return for enough money to feed his growing addiction. Mission is simple. Cortana enters your head without consent, refuses to exit until you agree to search for a mythical alien vault, refuses to elaborate, and leaves you running around asking strangers of a mythical vault with no doubt some tinfoil wrapped around your skull for good measure. Afterwards, attempt to locate the vault with now 3 voices in your head, evolving your schizophrenia to beyond human comprehension, collect treasure, roll credits. Also, I am still puzzled on the Psycho's titular spot on the cover, replicating Skyrim if instead of a dragon it had the Draugr or a chicken as the cover mons. Although to be fair, a pussy with anti-Hollywood producer defense modules installed likely wouldn't sell like hotcakes. Whatever the case may be, let's go smoke some crack off. Well, probably not Helena's face considering the manic PTSD she suffers when entering a sauna, and play Borderlands on crack. Game starts with what sounds like an old man who took child me hostage, telling a story meant to distract me from waving to the nearby cops at the red light. Just like you'll be able to take life hostage by the balls after leaving a like and subscribing, while also, more importantly, not missing out on future content. He informs me about Pandora, the planet of our destination, where I'll get to meet the billionaires on Epstein's list after he tragically disconnected from the servers by launching himself from a noose after shooting himself in the head 5 times. But there is a bright side, a mystical vault that can give you advanced technology, wealth, power, money, fame, woman, goodness me.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
The vault's existence is confirmed, and Guardian Angel is supposed to lead you, one who looks extremely well endowed, no doubt, using her bosom as the proverbial carrot to the Vault Hunter's pig. On Pandora, Venus flytrap-based furry art comes to life before getting what every furry currently deserves. Always knew 2K was a based company, as I determined Pandora is a planet witnessing the after effects of climate change taking hold. Should've listened to the angry German.
Mit 200.000 Soldaten in die Ukraine eingemarschiert. Hat noch viele mehr vermobilisiert.
Well, who'd you think I meant? Although, to be fair, a German could make a speech regarding new housing plans for the homeless, and you'd still hear the sounds of marching troops, as they mistaken it for a call to war. After an in-depth review of the inner biological mechanisms of our roadkill, we observe me and 3 others whom the man has presumably sold their happy hour services to various politicians over the last decade and a half. Amelia Earhart, 18-year Supermax contract, war veteran who was privy to his partner's brain matter, The fister who Tyler 1 thinks he is. My goodness, we have a bevy of trafficked individuals. Man's running an operation equal to or as large as Pablo Escobar's, no doubt. Unfortunately, it seems that we've all grown well past the man's target demographics' preferences, eclipsing the age of 14 or so, and are set to be evicted. I select the fister. After all, look at him. If anyone deserves the power of the vault, it's the one whose fingers managed to reach Bill Gates' descending call. A joke! Apologies for my breaking of character. I don't want shady men in trench coats forcing me into a white van as my last known location. Cortana appears in my field of vision, the one whom I presume is the titty tour guide to the vault. She claims I have to evacuate the bus at the next stop, but with my seeing nothing more than her eyes and without evidence of a milk factory straight out of a 5-year plan, I'm mildly cautious as I refuse to oink as of yet, since I'm not necessarily sure as to the identity of my mind's perpetrator and whether her true motives are indeed quite sinister. I cross-examine my captor's earlier tale to see if I should trust the voice in my head, but he informs me we'll never be seeing each other again, lest I have a child while falling onto hard times, and even then, unlikely unless I come down with a crippling heroin addiction, inhibiting cerebellic processes to the point where I sell my child for nothing more than a vape pen. Wally is awaiting my arrival and claims his name to be Claptrap, and though I've never laid with a robot before, I'm not a stranger to new experiences. How bad can a hydraulic pussy be? But before the clapping of traps can begin, I allow him to stick a program into my head with no scrutiny from my end. My goodness, Anonymous would have a field day in this world. Would have your personal info as well as access to their bodies like sock puppets. But it seems Claptrap is not a malicious actor, giving me a visible health bar and ammo view. I quickly betray our implied tenuous non-aggression pact and shoot him to scrap his corpse for part. My goodness, he's made of some sort of titanium alloy, completely indestructible, not so much as a dent. I quickly follow my new overlord as he orders me to allow a telephone pole to rearrange my genetic data, likely due to me looking like my parents hailed from the great US state of Alabama, no doubt, completing the medical procedure and think to myself, what would a muscular bald man from the deep sea—
It doesn't matter who we are.
Got it. Officer TCLR is ready for action. Don't let his appearance of every American in a Japanese Nintendo game fool you. I better not see any Neanderthals and hoodlums out on the streets of Pandora, lest I be forced to shoot the first colored man I see. He starts inputting
Wait, is that— oh no, not again!
Well, if he's scared of something, I should be petrified as well, considering my shotgun shells were nothing more than Nerf pellets to his rock-hard exoskeleton. After refusing to let me into his bomb shelter, I quickly calm the situation and observe the opposition, determining they are indeed pale-skinned and there's nothing to be alarmed about. I fail to see how that's a disturbance. I take Claptrap in for a statement and he regales me about the time these bandits clogged his hydraulic vagina. My god, they've ruined my potential good time. This cannot be left unanswered as I hit him with the Bruce Lee flying jump kick as Claptrap's comments activate my predator instincts, no doubt a tactical ploy to put me to my finest while I save the both of us. I quickly dispose of the side characters and pull out the Glock as Claptrap leads me off the main path, and due to my past, I am hesitant for a moment, but to do so I'm already completely boned in the head, and another Andrew Tate-led incidents would do little to harm my fragile mental state. After driving by on Claptrap's ops so thoroughly, I'm forced to claim them as my dependents on next year's tax returns, even eliciting a reaction from Cortana, whom comes out to show her support, but unfortunately, nothing more as the new voice in my head is not necessarily the talkative one, refusing to show me any of her plans or guide me in any reasonable way, leaving my guidance in the hands of a robot suffering from a bevy of brain disorders. Dr. Zed was the person Step wrote as he graciously thanks me for saving his unethical medical practice. I quickly show my support against his undeserved termination for operating on a healthy individual without anesthesia. He was just giving his patients a natural treatment after all, and do the only thing I can for the first real NPC you meet in any video game as I set out to massacre 5 skags for no apparent reason, and potentially bring back their pelts. While Claptrap awkwardly scurries over to open the gate,
Bring that road pussy here.
the radicalized local populace drive by and CTP gets given CTE. Fortunately, I was prepared for this eventuality, and after popping a perk 35, I end the attempted drive-by before the second spin, succeeding in my cosplay as an enforcer of justice. Zed informs me that I've only assaulted a patrol of a rapidly expanding crime network, pissing off Nine Toes in the process. I guess I'll have to give him another 5 spooning his prostate as an apology. Although considering this pure vibranium robot was taken out by one of his underlings, nothing not even my 12 gauge could accomplish, I'm fairly certain he's gonna use me as his footrest until I increase my strength to acceptable levels.
The poor little robot needs our help.
He looks perfectly functional to me. I'm sure he'll be able to repair
Would
himself.
you kindly give him a hand?
I've had the pleasure of playing BioShock Pinned Comment. A man chooses and I choose to let the robot suffer. Well, to play contrarian here for a minute, 72 XP is quite the substantial sum, perhaps just this once. After failing to resist the brainwashing, I repair the leaking R2-D2 mobile game stand-in to avoid copyright issues and continue on to my MMORPG starter mission, contributing to America's growing problem of domestic abuse by assaulting the prepubescent form of the Venus flytrap furry. That last word emancipated me from any wrongdoing by the law, thankfully, allowing me to return to Dr. Zed with all the pelts as proof of completion. Afterwards, I'm ordered to go fix the vending machine which drops morphine. A little twist, Dr. Zed and his outdated medical license added, of course, which I accomplish with relative ease, grabbing myself a shield in the process. Zed informs me of the age-old adage of having to get it back in blood and asks me to spin the block, encouraged by Cortana, who informs me we'll need the aid of the Bloods if we want to locate the vault and become true TCLR subscribers. No doubt an obvious attempt at gaslighting after realizing I am in fact a man, not a slave. These bandits are one-shots as I proceed to show them how the boys in blue do it, quickly eliminating the threat after they reach for a weapon. And I make my return to Zed, who is mightily impressed by my southern LARPing, failing to differentiate me from other officers suspended with pay, and deems me worthy to go visit Taki Baja. Rushing at full speed to my next objective, but being slightly underwhelmed that no, in fact, Taco Bell hasn't come out with a new freeze drink, but is instead the prototypical southerner. Patchy the pirate, looking like his seed played a part in the development of the
Crimson Chin! Wrong! The nigger chin!
lost his peg leg and was robbed by the opposition, leaving him famished as he is after the skags who stole the blind man's rations. He gives me the task of bringing back his food, however, considering the food was sitting at or near biochemical waste that magically produces bullets through cellular processes every few minutes. I'm unconfident that this meal is fit for a man his age, but despite the strange form of industrialization this planet has undergone, I bring back the poisoned food anyways, rewarding me by informing me of the fact that my trafficker has reopened his weapon shop, assuredly only after driving far enough away that I can't show up for revenge after some grocery shopping and think, yeah, it looks dark enough. After forcing me to interpretively reenact the long march to help increase playtime, I return and he believes I'm ready to take on Nine Toes, the mythical damager of claptraps everywhere, as I set upon this monumental task as Baja Blast bestows upon me the nuclear launch codes needed to blow up Skag Gully. I gain my first ability, Ultimate Fisting, as I am now prepared to insert another 5 digits up Nine Toes' 15 fingers' rectum. Wonderful news on the Western Front as I obtain more effective weapons and kill the goblins from Harry Potter, swiping the bank keys for later and arriving at Nine Toes' home base. With all the bandits running amok outside the settlements, it seems to me that Pandora is indeed a penal colony, as I am left paralyzed from the fact that I have arrived at this universe's Australia. After practicing my English with a chronically sore throat accent for a few minutes, I conclude it'll be a while before I can integrate myself into this culture and table that task for later, entering Nine Toes' home base. He makes his appearance, substantially larger than the average psycho and sporting anti-cuddle armor, extremely effective in smash and dashing, although this fact probably has his companions for the night doing more of the latter than the former. Despite his obvious use of steroids, the Lance Armstrong raid boss was fairly trivial as I eliminate his shield with my pressurized stream of unrelenting firepower, proceeding to quickly activate my berserk ability, allowing me to unleash my greatest weapon. Look at that textbook form, a true clinic on display as being in a penal colony. I determine only mild penalties will be inflicted upon me for rocketing up that vegan teacher's hit list. After securing both a flammable gun as well as a reaction video from that vegan teacher, I down some meat as Cortana's gaslighting continues, telling me that the mythical vault is for sure real and don't listen to what people try to tell you. The voice in your head is always right. And all I can say is, schizophrenia hasn't steered me wrong yet. Takey withholds payment on a technicality. Unfortunate, but as I push him on it, he launches a tactical defecation to scare me away, succeeding, but I'm blessed with the fact that Zed is much more reasonable in regards to payment, as he tells me to go peruse the bounty board for some of the side missions, which I would normally avoid like the plague, but this is one of those games where you are required to do side missions. Unless, of course, you want to go against a proverbial LeBron while playing as a fat ass who hasn't seen the inside of a gym since John Cena dropped the news that they got Bin Laden. Not wanting my life expectancy to match that of a main character in a drone strike video, I take on all the available ones. Of course, I could have skipped these side missions easily, as being a TCLR subscriber bestows upon me enough technical knowledge to ordain the game to release its grip and allow me the appropriate side mission skipping XP, wanting to withhold my true form and potentially frying this game in a CPU's version of a coma. I decided to refrain from showing it what happens when you become a TCLR subscriber and use my mind to telepathically connect, then force the game to do my bidding for me, while also, more importantly, not missing out on future content. I get a call from a man named Scooter who wants me to fix the Uber self-serve machine. Truly brilliant naming in that regard. Must have had J.K. Rowling to help with that. It appears that Bonehead hit a lick, stealing the module needed to get this working, but considering he'd use me as his permanent blunt roller in return for not introducing Ninetos's missing digit to my eye hole, I decide to train with Takey first. After all, he is proficient in fucking these upstanding black individuals up. Almost got put on paid leave for a week there. He's got two missions, the first of which is simple, just wanting me to find some seeds to plant, and the second is to bring back his missing leg from the mouth of a titan. One of those is much more strenuous than the other, and surprisingly, it's not the latter. On the way, I find a recording, incorrectly believing I turned on the Klingon dub, but it was just the fact that our journalist here was spouting some sort of foreign lexicon, adding another mission this time, trying to secure this world's Rosetta Stone. I guess it's time to take a look at my build I'm gonna go for. While the blaster tree is strong for explosives, I don't want to be put on a no-fly list anytime soon, so I decide to roleplay Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising, increasing both my defenses and fists to bedrock caliber. After massacring a good portion of Pandora's Air Force and land military, I secure the first recording, but I still can't understand what the Viking who forewent his life of crime in favor of a metallurgy career was spouting, and hope that the second would shed some light on his foreign accent, but still not being able to understand his words, it seems I'm gonna have to require a professional's help to deal with this. Next up is Takey's leg, as a skag who's had well past the daily recommended intake of nuclear waste shows up, but my assault weapon is more than enough to eliminate this genetic anomaly. While I'm in the gully, I attempt to locate the seeds needed, but they seem to be more so something you would use in Plants vs. Zombies instead of something edible. Collecting the seeds while avoiding the skags and newer cumshot skag is, assuming that's how this species breeds, of course, have the spitter launch an intercontinental ballistic missile at its mate's mouth. Would honestly rather be a part of that process than this video. Don't check it out. Seriously, I'm not joking. You will regret it about 4 seconds in. After collecting the final seeds, I return to Takey with his spoils and decrypt Sledge's message, which contained orders of a blockade, as he proves himself a true threat attempting to starve us out. But we'll return to him later, as I'm now informed that my level is strong enough to take out Bonehead. My quest marker lied to me, however, betraying my trust as he's level 12, quickly putting me on the back foot, but my trump card is still ready as I activate the fists but get taken out before critical damage. It's a good thing me playing dead had him sitting there looking like a flashbang victim, allowing him to think the threat dealt with, as he can now have his way with my shockingly already loose defecator, but I surprise him, shooting him point blank, Willy out, as I eliminate the second boss of the game. I take the now functioning catcher ride, using it to both cook up some roadkill and jumping the ramp, arriving at the other side, disarming both the blockade and securing one of the 5 tapes from a mad scientist. Tannis will become a vital character later on, but for now she was sent to Pandora to look for technology to help her failing military-industrial complex keep up with with the Atlas superpower. Unfortunately, she would have had a better time trying to bring a different form of governance to Afghanistan, as her party was obliterated and no one but her is left. She seems to be taking her partner's demise as well, as she now gets to snag that luxury chair now that Carl's dead, a truly relatable character. It's finally high time to deal with Sledge, as it seems he's run this part of Pandora like his last name rhymed with Schmittler and every inhabitant was Jewish. He possesses something we need, which we'll get to soon enough. Shep Sanders has a plethora of jobs for me, as they mostly come down to bringing the power back by massacring the aviating wildlife, releasing the air turbines, and securing the mine gate key the bandit boss stole from him. Unfortunately, they left a note saying that the key is in fact being used for a different purpose at another location, which is a slightly more difficult mission, one to where I'd still get used as dental floss by Sledge's shooters, so I decide to sign up for a return of the Gladiator games, conversing with a man named Raid, who claims I'll lose in the first round, second if divine intervention occurs, not realizing that in fact us TCLR subscribers are the conduits to divine intervention itself, as I slaughter some low-level skags, deciding it's best for me to train on little green men before round 2. I travel through an underground bunker, attempting to secure the second gate key and die a few times, but no matter, eventually cutting my way through to the center where someone who has exceeded his yearly dose of testosterone and a single needle is coming at me with an intent to kill. Bloodshot murder in his eyes would be the more appropriate term for this situation. However, Officer TCLR bows down to no man as I'm about to enlist this 12-foot monster into the prison football teams. By the time my work is finished with him, he'll be the greatest running back Guantanamo Bay has ever seen. Fortunately, with all these midgets running around, I was able to let the call of the void's yearnings be heard this time, as I kick the kids like a soccer ball out on an open field to gain a second wind. Says a lot about my morals, shedding light as to why I am still on the penal planet colony. Fortunately, this trial was much easier than you would think our difference in level would suggest, since finding out he is an intravenous needle excuse me, drug user is more than sufficient for me to see so much red Stalin is trying to interfere in my personal politics, ready to use me as an attempt to try another round of Starvation Simulator. We end up canceling out and kill each other, but he doesn't seem to have that Alabama in him. Roll Tide and roll sisters onto our bed for our glorious state, securing the mine key and eliminating one of Sledge's top commanders. Cortana returns and tells me there's nothing between me and Sledge now, aside from about 3 to 4 levels I'll need to make up, of course. I receive a phone call from one Commandant Steele, who informs me that my insurgent activities interferes with the stability of the region, one where they can't use the local warlord to sign away the resources of his country in return for protection, and informs me to stop my fight for freedom and a better life for the populace, lest I want to see why the Atlas Corporation would make the US Army look like Saddam circa 2003. I'm contracted to collect some shock crystals that give a boost to my unique fisting ability, and I do just that, dealing with scorpions and elements of the illegitimate Badlands government. After picking apart the ops with surgical precision, I find they have damaged another claptrap. Now, one may have been chalked up to pure luck, but a second truly reveals the skill and organization the Sledge regime truly instills into their new recruits. Truly a brutal and effective government that has armor-piercing capabilities, a close-range 12-gauge dozen as I make to repair the claptrap, perhaps discovering some vital information on Sledge's weaknesses in the process, but not before stealing some modules for my own personal use, granting me more inventory space. Turning in the crystals, I give my fisting a rubbing socks against the carpet factor, allowing me to shock my enemies even more so than what my unrequited anal play would normally give. I'm contracted to disable 2 more skags named Mo and Marley, but they unfortunately are the greatest tag team duo since Kobe and Shaq, trying to replicate the superior model of COD Zombies with their
Fetch me their soul!
looking asses. However, they may be more similar than I first realized, leaving them to rest their nuts in the concavity of where my eyes once resided, so I deem it appropriate to make a deal with the local government in helping me deal with the mutated threats. The agreement wasn't accepted by all party members, leaving a considerable amount in disdain that they have to work with someone whose penis is thicker than their biceps, leaving half of them to try and get revenge, not knowing I have an IV stream of perk 30s directly linking to my cardiovascular system. system, leaving them with the unenviable status condition known as death. I end up waiting till Shaq and Kobe get into another argument, splitting them up and wiping them out, deciding that by eliminating the Skag dynamic duo, I am now prepared to go face the Gladiator games. Although it would be more aptly named the Michael Vick Saga, as I face off against some truly fascinating creatures. Quite a tough round, but at this point, of course, I am a one-man army, able to single-handedly endanger a species prevalent throughout the entire world, which, considering how big of an annoyance they've been, is an acceptable statistic to be associated with. Much to Raid's dismay, claiming no one has ever beaten 3 rounds before, I take up on that challenge with him thinking I'm stag food. Considering I'm made of the nanobot Senator Armstrong infused into his body, the only thing these skags are consuming is dirt after they're buried 6 feet under. Enraging Raid, who realized he isn't dealing with any ordinary mercenary, telling me to piss off since it's obvious I will not stop until I've dealt a death blow to the Skag population. Mo and Marley's remains were reverse engineered to the point where I now have flaming fists with the power of a JoJo stand. Deciding it's high time to test my newfound abilities on Sledge and take the Iridian artifact for myself. They've set up extraction operations, pilfering the country's resource wealth for foreign superpowers, and aren't expecting someone to actually beat their steroid abuser, correctly coming to the realization that the only gang strong enough to defeat that behemoth are crack enjoyers, not knowing that one actually arrived on their planet recently. They of course try their best, though in futility, to disrupt me, but I have 6 guns, a badge, and a dream as I'm on a one-way collision course to Sledge's headquarters in the aptly named Battle for the Badlands. My sniper AR pistol shotgun combo gives me more range and versatility than the average American student who underwent one too many wedgies, making my way past their defenses at a blistering pace, even one-shotting their flak gunner, opening the way to Sledge's inner defense. Oops, it seems I went a little too deep. No matter, I'll just,
Nope.
Alright, round 2. After killing his entire workforce, ensuring even if he defeats me his mining operation to transfer rare earth metals to foreign governments in return for keeping his ability to abuse his citizens, is disrupted to the point where they will withdraw support for his genocidal regime, leading to his eventual downfall. I have no intention of stopping there, as Cortana gifts me some insider information, allowing me to counter Sledge with the appropriate build. Sledge, furious I've interrupted his Vinland Saga arc, if instead of giving up Viking life and embracing peace, he instead embraces slavery, comes at me with a sledgehammer and sawed-off with nothing short of homicidal intent, quickly proving himself the superior marksman. Not to worry though, as after taking out a retarded psycho who fell for my "look over there, it's a therapist" distraction, I'm able to eliminate the part of his body above his shoulders amidst his fight-or-flight response. Afterwards, I activate my fisting ability, unleashing a flurry of flaming fists in his direction, obliterating both his helmet and making soup of the contents it was protecting, deleting the remaining opposition and winning the Badlands for myself and freedom and democracy. I guess, I'm not gonna lie, the Atlas Corporation probably gonna install another ruthless dictator before I even finish this game. The shotgun is nothing but a pure weapon of mass destruction. 1 shot, 2 bullets, and you'll have the unlucky recipient winning the cosplay convention with the most stunning Headless Horseman look anyone's ever seen. Taking his artifact for myself as Cortana begins informing me of its usage as a key to the vault. Well, part of it. I still need a few more of these. The commander of Atlas forces in the Middle East, Pandora, informs me that by killing a violent dictator, I have disturbed their operations, removing the mask and just informing me that this planet is Atlas property and to surrender myself unless I want this universe's John Cena to announce my death. I'm still shocked we heard the news from none other than him. It would be like if I dropped the hydrogen bomb that Russians have withdrawn from the war that'll take away money this video makes. I come on 15-inch Willy throbbing, informing Zed of my securing Pandora for Pandorians, rewarding me by giving grade A clearance to head into the Doll Headlands. I'm contracted to go look for a missing fiancé, finding him face down in a lake surrounded by Thing 1 and Thing 2, no doubt mutilating his corpse. He was no innocent man, however, as he took some random radiating green energy leaves and rolled them up into blunts, selling them to the local bandit regime, convincing them that this gas was of prime off-world quality. His money-making scheme was found when the first consumer died from severe internal hemorrhaging as they came back, forcing him to use his own product. I go to collect the cigar boxes, since having this biochemical weapon laying around is quite the hazard. My ops are so ineffective, I am sent to save them. This can't be real. Superman, of course, comes to the rescue, saving them by walking into their base, slaughtering the inhabitants, and taking the boxes, making sure that no one is left alive to use.
Did it, Patrick! We saved the city!
Atlas Corporation has found their ruthless dictator 2.0 a little sooner than I anticipated, so I decide to blow. I'm gonna skip this to preserve my flight privileges. Whatever the case may be, let's hope the Badlands are the worst settlement in Pandora. Hint, this place is a utopia compared to everywhere else. And make my way to the next zone where my abuser calls me up and says he misses me, and let's search for the vault together, even going so far as to invite me to his operation. One where the bands will have me with my own Bugatti. Having about his offer, entering the Dal Headland to meet some dude named Ernst. I quickly show up, sirens blaring, ready to apprehend any minority who had the gall to walk around Dal without my explicit approval. However, I'm told the bandits have regrouped behind a K-pop character. Goodness, it's worse than I could have imagined. With an army of bandits supporting insufferable Twitter users, well, let's just say we're about to have lineups for miles behind the Golden Gate Bridge. My god, the cleanup will be too much for our underfunded police force. Gonna have to have the government make Twitter a stage 4 no-go zone. We gotta stop her. Preceding that, however, there's something called Skagzilla, and to protect Japan from a third atomic bomb-level threat of destruction, I secure some master bait and use it to lure at. Okay, well, I wouldn't exactly call it Skagzilla, not exactly the most threatening thing, since I just shoot right through its uterus, but without a cum shot, I ensure it dies from hemorrhaging of its fallopian tubes instead. His boy was stolen by the K-pop stands, as I'm tasked with rescuing him and culling their numbers. With nothing worse than those vile no-lifes in power, no, not even furries nor heroin abusers are worse. I massacre well above the recommended numbers, ensuring that the internet stays a safe and free place for all. This chest here is obvious bait. You won't get me even with your 23rd chromosome found. I seem to have secured the assistance of a heroin abuser, enraging my fists to the point of leaving his face looking like he throated a hornet's nest. Beating his dick into working order before his cerebrospinal system shuts off for good, before I assert dominance by engaging in teabagging his face while he stays hard, showing him who runs these streets in a masterful display, as now everyone believes in his enjoyment of being the bottom, ruining his tough guy act and career. I save the man who's been sissified and wants me to enable fast travel, which I promised to do, flipping the breakers until— oh my god, they're bugs! Managing to stay calm through Buddhist breathing exercises and applying appropriate force despite my arachnophobia. I flip the switch and make it back, informing the sissy the job is done. Knowing this town is in need of pesticidal services, I offer up myself as tribute, massacring the lot of them. Clearing out the creepy crawlies from every conceivable location with my expertise in the subject. After some minor work as a chemical engineer closing valves and fuel tanks, showing my Johnny Sins-like versatility, I'm informed Tanis, the girl from the recording who now possesses a fancy luxurious chair, was exploring a vault finding an artifact, a powerful tool that will prove useful in my journey. I fist my way past the initial defenses, making my way through to the underground, finding a few Yu-Gi-Oh monsters that look like they require no summoning cost, defending the artifact, but after showing them Juice WRLD's discography, they go to meet the man in the flesh while I take the nutrition cube, allowing my fists to act as combustile material. My main mission was to eliminate runner patrols, but considering every time I see a K-pop stan, homicide enters my mind and refuses to leave. I already accomplished that long before I made it my top priority. It's now time to take the fight to Mad Mal, who's locked up the roads as I enter my cop car, sirens blaring, and arrive at a monster truck derby. However, like the Gladiator games, it's got a nice twist being a fight to the death. My car proves itself ineffective for this job as Mel rides the Hades mobile with Bones as protection. Goodness, why didn't I think of that? My rocket-propelled grenade proves itself effective, eliminating the threat, but— okay, what just happened? No matter, divine intervention won't be able to prevail as I come back in the Copmobile, eliminating the stragglers and arriving at New Haven. Helena gives me a call and informs me the road to Sanctuary is closed as there is a tribe of misfits in the Salt Flats now opening the road melee to a Fall of Rome style situation, possessing their infernal contraption. I can only assume her and Fire don't have the best history overall. She thanks me for obliterating Mel and her mechanized core right before she tells me I've got some nerve showing up after defeating her ops, acting like I've actually done shit. Hell no, not in my house. How about you go and make yourself actually useful by turning on some generators? I feel like she was just feeling nostalgic for 1860 America, but whatever. After proving my worth by doing her dry cleaning, I get a call from Tanis, who seems to have broadcasted to the entire world that the vault is real, opens every 200 years, and that time is coming now. Now! Shit's about to make the boarding scene from 2012 look civil. Scooter, the man I was talking to while ordering my self-serve, asks me to check on Takey, who hasn't responded in a while. I'm sure he's fine. He's a southerner with a gun, anyone found within 500 miles of the border of his property sleeping with the fishes. No one's gonna stand up to the business end of his Tommy gun, and let me tell you, the business he engages in is more so the get back into the mines variant rather than the sit down and chat with the unions type. I find another clapped trap, not by the bandits this time, as I can only assume we have some sort of nefarious menace who somehow punches past the strongest alloys man's ever concocted. But that threat is put on hold as after repairing the robot, I get a little birdie telling me there is a giant moth that acts like it owns the place, and after using the summoning ritual, yeah, I'd say he owns the place. The B-52 Flying Fortress firebombs me, but despite it mistaking my face for a curved moon-shaped continent, I am able to deliver a killing blow to the aptly named Moth Rack. With a name like that, there's no doubt he really did make it out the hood, expecting his drill rap career to enter the mainstream any day now. While I'm in the area, I might as well check in on Takey. No! Why? Why did this have to happen to Takey and his locked jaw? I have no idea what killed him, but I do know that whoever did is most likely one with a very specific set of skills. And while I have proven myself strong in this playthrough, having killed quite the number of dogs, I really don't want to reenact a late 2000s action movie on the other side. I'd love to slide back, but I think I'm just gonna chalk this one up as an L and move on. Sorry, Takey. I go back to Scooter, who is furious that Takey died before returning his tools back, giving me money for the funeral. Accepting the money graciously, knowing I already burnt his body. I make my way to Tetanus Warren to get some corrosive crystals for poisonous fisting while also taking out King Wee Wee, a truly terrifying presence judging by his name alone. I have to concurrently deal with a different breed of creepy crawlies, the spiderlings, who have exoskeletons, requiring me to have to bend over backwards in positions more flexible than the average picture book guide in the Kamasutra contains, just to hit it from the back. Eventually, some sort of nuclear waste in the form of a spider appears and begins launching an artillery barrage of chemical sewage. Knowing one bite and I'll have the unfortunate moniker of Ant-Man, the C-list at best superhero bestowed upon me if I get bit, I dodge every one of his attacks, which was quite the trial considering he only takes major damage when his copulatory organ sticks out to get sniped as I keep kicking in the proverbial balls, hoping it'll be enough to eliminate the threat, and it is, as I get the misfortune of seeing what would have happened had I let it get near me with its groper. After fighting tooth and nail to get the repair kit by spending about 20 minutes trying to make this jump, I repair the robot and inform it of the best places to get rape kits, while I continue my journey, securing all the corrosive crystals I could ever need and making my way through to the menace King Wee Wee, audibly gulping as his monstrous 4-foot, 120-pound frame appears, squealing after every hit he gets off. Somehow surviving this battle to kill him before he takes out half my shield, succeeding in this incredible feat of stamina requiring nothing but me in my tip-top shape, stealing his frankly completely broken shield as it essentially regenerates all wounds I might acquire. I make my triumphant return to New Haven, turning in missions for my rewards as I'm now getting sick of side quests, deducing it's time to continue on and find Tanis. While my power level is still at a respectable level, getting a call from the archaeologist suffering from an attention disorder, informing me the burn victim foretold my arrival before getting cut off by some frankly rude bandits, and despite riding a 700-ton assault weapon used to squish non-whites, Claptrap somehow survives, proving I'm not worthy enough to defeat this affront to God just yet. I take the first journal of Tanis as some sort of Nordic legend appears, but unlike its American counterpart, it doesn't launch firebombs from an indestructible frame, as I am forced forced into a fisting position to regain health while it tries me, getting a face full of whatever cocktail I've concocted into my fists. I have eaten quite the number of nutrition cubes at this point. The second journal's location is at a dam the ops have set up base in as I eliminate the threat, protecting their valuable sewage while securing the next journal, informing me she might not be all theirs. Her schizophrenia rivals even my voice, as I still hear to this day. It's not a joke, I'm giving out a cry for help. The third journal was in a difficult location as I am required to enter boxing stance just to punch through and learn of how I had night vision. I could have seen her titties flopping about like a basketball warm-up, but more importantly, she has learned about an event that takes place every 200 or so years right before her PC fried. A great thing I was able to go back and edit since I was far too preoccupied with some dive bombers to really pay attention to what she was waffling on about. The next two journals are fairly easy to predict even before I secure them. It's her confirming her findings about the vault and 200 years of collective game design, knowing I'm about to get walloped by another broken release to sell skins in League of Legends the next full moon. The last journal notably has the Doll Corporation cutting its losses after everybody in the first expedition died, and she is furious they won't send more meat into the grinder, deciding to stay and finish the job herself, wondering if she can convince some of the unpaid labor to continue working for her with the promise of weekly basketball drills in the middle of the night. Then the schizo comes back. It seems the sewage bandits have been securing far too much of it, and when asked to share, they eliminated the envoys, believing them to be communists. No blame can be placed there, of course. So they sent me to eliminate the sewage pipes, doing just that while showing the viewer base my sniping skills are far below the requisite amount to be considered semi-competent. After that spat with communism, it's time to give capitalism a mission, as my previous trafficker wants to tap into the bandit arms market, which requires me to eliminate their supplier, and still suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, I deduce it's imperative I help him destroy more innocent lives, so I go secure the invoice and decide to take the time to formulate my new engine design for Scooter. As if my vault dreams are dashed, I can at least Henry Ford my way into riches, returning to give Scooter his 2 missions and giving a mission to my Predator while getting another offer to go correct the market since One-Eyed Jack has hoarded weapons, increasing supply, limiting demand. Bad for business, of course, and completely anti-competitive. Proceeding to do the only ethical thing in this instance, I go and blow up the supply so people will buy from my previous captor at an inflated cost, a true pioneer of industry. I'm glad I was used as his connection to ultra-rich clients for all those years. I run by his block while he's away, so I deem it enough for me to take out his cousins, when instead, while eliminating his means of reprisal. That is, unless he wants to buy at an inflated price, of course, from our captain of industry. Unfortunately, we still have no idea who the supplier is, so I'm told to keep destroying more product until I get an address, which I do, blowing up more stock, artificially increasing the market cap. Well, finding out that Torg did the unthinkable and cut out the middleman to sell to the bandits directly, pocketing all the profits. This complete lack of business ethics won't go down well in their next meeting with Marcus, as my job is complete. Unfortunately, going back to the burn victim, she informs me that One-Eyed Jack is furious since we've essentially neutered his operation, as no one is going to take bandits shaking them down for protection money, with sticks bent at a certain edge imitating gun sounds seriously, and he is thinking of launching an all-out assault on us, and even threatened to bring in fire grenades, so I'm gaslit, pleaded with really, into doing this since this is all my fault. Did I move on One-Eyed Jack? How tough can he be? I mean, he's got one eye. What is this? The man is a homing missile attached to his pistol. He pistol whips once and accidentally brings back manic PTSD episodes to residents of Hiroshima. It isn't that strong though, I'm just ass, looking like that shooting star effect they give in the DreamWorks intros. I take Jack's other eye as proof of completion, leaving her to breathe a sigh of relief she won't have to deal with getting firebombed by bandits for a second time. I meet Tannis, and as you can judge by the game's mission difficulty, I am quite overleveled, given the mission to get the vault key back from Crazy Earl, who is somehow able to strike a deal for that, and most of her underwear, the madman. Nothing but respect to the man who can identify pepper spray by taste, our resident capitalist winner. Marcus might be a captain of industry, but Earl's the fucking field marshal. I arrive at a scrapyard attempting to establish contact and learn from the Grand Wizard himself, forcing myself to breathe through the mouth considering the treasure trove of knowledge I'm about to secure, blowing up the entrance, which isn't exactly a great first impression, as he then proceeds to refuse my opening of the door. Nor does he give the piece back until I help him set off a bomb on a bandit outpost who stole said bombs. Sometime later, my life flashes flashes before my eyes as it'll be a freezing day in hell when a psycho midget finishes me off. I run through no man's land, defeating dogs and bandits alike before I sneak in through the backside, eliminating the guards and setting up position in defensible terrain. Before leaving said terrain when I find no ops, instead opting to storm the fort while their guard is down, giving them the cyanide coated around my fists as a party gift, obliterating their guards, and proceeding to secure the C4, but they all come at me in full force, nearly dying, but the second wind and clutch power-up gives me the power I need to complete my mission, placing the charge and making my way out of there without having any sort of plan to detonate the bomb. I'm fairly certain if they could rub two brain cells together fast enough to produce an electrical reaction, they can just take the bomb off. The Soulside mission was pointless since he could remotely detonate the bomb this entire time and didn't think I'd actually risk my life like that, but he is impressed. Not enough to unveil the secrets of the sexual harassment industry, of course, as he requires me to massacre some more living thing. Already done. I make sure to eliminate 25 bandits and 3 spider ants before breakfast every day. Can't spell TCLR without serial killer, of course. Finally, he wants me to go secure some booze from some moonshine producers. Marcus seems to have all his eggs in my basket as he Stockholms me to giving him the vault treasure to sell after I secure it, and having that vote of confidence from my abuser almost makes up for those days locked in the cellar only to be let out when some 90-year-old walking corpse decides it's time to try a prostate orgasm. Okay, I'm going too far with this. People start thinking I'm a victim.
You're a victim.
Here we go, CSI.
I blast through their defenses as I'm significantly higher up on the level totem pole compared to them, massacring hundreds of bandits on this island of booze production, stealing all their hard work of creating Microsoft clip art and returning to the lunatic who has reset his backdoor trap. No doubt believing I would step right into it as he uses his remote explosive to obliterate me in order to keep his valuable trade secrets. Well, this idiot, after having me do his spring cleaning, says his piece of the vault was stolen by Crom, and if I'm retarded enough to go step up, he'll be in Crom's Canyon. Could, never figured that out, where he lurks if not for Crazy Earl, thanks you genetic hybrid of a Reddit moderator and science experiment of recessive genes. I'll be going to get the skag meat you want right after pissing inside each can to give you HIV. I still haven't fully recovered from last episode's meta-real attack. Unfortunately, this is the area I failed to surpass earlier as the soldier. Assuredly now with a few more levels under my belt, nope, I'm still used like Mr. Krabs' millionth dollar. I say fuck it and unload the dam before driving by in earnest, hopefully too fast for the 2 gun towers to send me 6 feet under. I almost make it to the door, so close until another turret, god damn it, oops, never mind, it seems his ass forgot I existed or thought I was playing co-op or something. His men seem to have set up a Mayan mountain colony. I'm half expecting them to be irrigating farms drizzling down the hilltops at this point, but like the natives IRL, they're no match for my conquistadoring as I hit him with the old world plague. Super Slam! Making my way to Crom and his hideout, knowing that me and my cocktail of corrosive substances, also known as fists, are going to have an easy time gunning down my ops with ease as I meet up with Crom. Abort mission, abort mission! The man can even kill claptraps? I, for one, have emptied my colon. To avoid the fate of the claptrap with the Bugatti color scheme, I have to make my way through open terrain while avoiding the flat gun he himself is posted on, a difficult challenge made more so by the fact I have less ammo than main characters in a zombie TV show, and it's been 2 episodes of nobody important dying right after a flashback meant to establish a backstory. I proceed with caution, knowing that if they catch me in this location, I'm about to be sacrificed to ensure the rainy season is so. Making my way outpost to outpost, and despite this grueling stalemate, I am about 2 levels over-leveled, which helps with morale until I get used by badass super tanks. In between me waiting and using Wee Wee's armor set to heal up, I quickly make my way through, taking pot shots while he sits in his AI-programmed turret with no choice but to wait as I dwindle his armor, landing the killing blow on his turret. His final words were true poetry, something you could never see modern artists create. Bracket. Death rattle. Bracket. is truly a postmodern classic, one that will be studied for generations undoubtedly. Moving in, there are some minions left who claim they were only following orders, but I am a firm believer in the Geneva suggestion, meaning that excuse works about as well as accidentally slipping and finding myself inside my best friend's woman. Cortana returns, congratulating me on my discovery without her help. Or did I? Informing me of my need to stay nice unless I want more coal this year, and that others are now sensing opportunity, knowing they'll make Elon Musk jealous with their money spreads if they succeed in securing the vault. I'm told to stay vigilant. If I want enough money to blow on cocaine and hookers for a 2-year period, I need to make sure I don't lose these keys under any circumstances. Earl, thinking I'd be dead, is positively flabbergasted when no, in fact, I am still alive, thinking I'd bring the artifact to him as he begs me to keep it away since the light it emanates burns his eyes, normally used to the light from a computer screen while banning users for posting memes in general. Tannis calls right after, no doubt thinking I was making my way to Earl with the vault key in exchange for his industry secrets, but with both of them hounding me like dogs, I'm forced to return to Tannis. Not before Officer TCLR sees some abnormally colored individuals and does his civic duty, fisting the spiderlings till there's nothing left till bones and mush. After returning with the vault key labeled a hero and no underwear unfortunately, much to her dismay, as well as the hero moniker I had for all of 3 seconds. But that's not important. Earl's collection stands strong unfortunately, as she now directs me to Janestown where traces of another artifact are located. I'm surprised she was able to convince our resident burn victim to give me Class A clearance, but after holding a robot arm hostage, as well as a lighter no more than 3 inches from her face, I can see how she was able to pull that off. I cross the drawbridge and Helena informs me that the artifact is located at the Trash Coast, and with how she talked about them being retarded, smelling of alcohol, and ignorance, I can only assume this place was meant to represent California. Taken aback she holds such a disdain for music. Somebody get her some earbuds and pink tape. I'll have her sing it out loud in no time. It appears criminals have locked me out of Trash Coast, as Tannis says she's never heard of a Geneva, and to do with the bodies what I will. The enemies are vast, and with my ammo reserves dwindling, I'm forced to enter full fist as their families will require dental records to pick them out of the crowd. Janus Cobb is a tough motherfucker, but by feigning death, I unload lead into his scrotum, securing victory for the crack army, leaving his forces in disarray as I finish off the rest of the lesser beings. Although to be fair, this walking assault weapon was walking towards me like he was Jason, and after not seeing the Halloween movies, I deem it my top priority that I don't get put into one of those movies, using my bullets from a safe distance instead of my fists. This is where my true tactical brilliance shines, a real modern day Napoleon. I intentionally die to respawn out of the zone so I can secure a vehicle and save my bullets for more important threats after this assassination mission is complete. And not because I last second choked against the bruiser. I returned to Janus's brother Taylor, who put me up to the mission to assassinate his own flesh and blood, telling me that a new era will come for the formerly known Janestown, now going by Taylortown, but I care little for squabbling politics. Making my way to the Trash Coast and looking for an Eric Franks, as my previous owner informs me that something is off about Tannis, who never once resupplied using his own ports. And considering his monopoly obtained through unethical business practices and violation of multiple labor laws, there are very few others she could go to get supplies and to watch my ass, lest I want to relive the previous 14 or so years of my life. Back home at New Haven, Eric informs me that he left a little gift for my liberation of Janestown, but as I go to retrieve it, there's no vault key I was promised. Well, that is indeed horrific, as I return to Helena, who calls me and my following of the ramblings of a crazy archaeologist to find some long-forgotten vault to be completely psycho, but I calmly make sure to correct her, informing her that it's actually an AI robot voice stuck in my head, dominating my every move. An explanation which doesn't seem to impress her too much. But the level is much too high for me to complete myself, as I decide to progress through more side missions instead to acquire strength. I'm tasked with reactivating some beacons belonging to Dale Corporation after bandits took up residence, shutting off their comms, proving itself a trivial task since at this point, bandits wake up to wet dreams of me, ones that usually contain urine instead of seminal fluids. Of of course. Although being a TCLR subscribers, at time it is a solution of both. Activating both beacons until I'm told to investigate some weird smoke signals from Old Haven, which, oh, well, it seems like the smoke signals aren't from friendlies. It appears Commander Steele has sent her Crimson Legion, the corporation's private army, to activate smoke signals to attract bandits into a nice and clean kill zone. One where I'm unfortunately given a kill on sight tag, so I'm forced to aid the ops and destroy all the smoke signals for now. I quickly discover the Lance Infantry and Engineers to be a tad bit stronger than bandits who wield whatever weapon they can get their dick cheese encrusted hands on. But it's the Defenders that cause me to get up and start aggressively hitting my monitor with the force of 3 teranewtons. These pussies spend their entire time hiding behind a shield while I have to somehow eliminate them through the tiny window their shield allows while peeking, all the while making sure I don't get shot back and 3-shotted by them in return. And when you add in the fact that the flak guns also make a resurgence, yeah, unless I have the US Air Force on speed dial for a kamikaze strike, I'm not going to be able to deal with this private military company. Not at my current power level anyways. Learning from Tanis that the Crimson Legion had bandits set up to stop traffic and killed them instead of paying up, a wise strategy in the short term. However, long term it won't be nearly as cost effective as they seem to believe it is. I was only able to turn off 2 smoke signals before the flak gunners made me wish I was being trafficked again, so I decided to cut my losses after a certain time, and to continue the main story since I'm leveled to an acceptable degree for the next story mission to take out the traitor Taylor Cobb. Before I continue on my journey to finding a mythical vault, I hear a plea for help arriving to Eric, who begs for my assistance as him and his wife got into a disagreement, and the vile witch, the absolute bitch I'd personally regret ever being hitched, threw away all his pornos. You're among friends, brother, no judgment here. The Wicked Witch of the West would be shocked at that level of retaliation, so I agree to aid him in his endeavor, quickly making my way to the last known location of his priceless comics in the dumpster, as no bandit, psycho midget, nor Bakugan is gonna stand in my way as I proceed to collect the pages, which appear to be quite sticky to the touch. No doubt sweat from the days spent wasting away in a grueling dump such as this. There are around 6 cum-coated, now turned hardbacks, but I am able to retrieve every single one as Eric is finally able to relieve himself, thank goodness. Giving me $32,000 for my troubles, these things must have had some top-tier material, a collector's item no doubt, and considering every character so far in this game looks inbred, yeah, I could see some old mags from the old world selling for that much, if not more, just to get away from the fact that everybody at the bar is your cousin no more than twice removed. Next mission, it's finally time to deal with Taylor Cobb, the true menace who used my goodwill against me as I assault his refortified town. After spending a good 20 minutes taking out his rocket launchers while I stay safe and hidden away from retaliatory fire, I conclude that the sequel doesn't live up much to the original, proceeding to eliminate the Fallout New Vegas wannabes with reckless abandon, deleting their life executable files, quickly carving a path through to Taylor and lay siege upon his town, although it was more so he cornered me and had me pleading for mercy as he was flanked by both his rocket launchers, but I was still able to peek and whittle down his health. Until the rocket turret got me, and knowing there's no hope now as I'm gonna be forced to redo the whole ordeal again, I unload every piece of lead I can into the homing missile launcher, and shockingly, it works. I realize I have a prime fister that isn't attached to my arms, with this assault gun doing much more than just assault. It straight up abuses Taylor's health bar. As I blink and it's gone, disappears, nowhere to be found, pausing the game for a good 20 minutes to go look for it. After checking under the sofa cushions, I give up. Normally I would be worried about a future assault allegation in the form of a Twitter thread, but it happened so quick there's no evidence remaining. The success of my current ongoing crusade against inbreds gets a quick one-word response from Cortana, who hasn't been saying anything this entire game. No helps, tips, nothing. Although to be fair, that was probably all the budget they had for voice acting this game. I activate my fists to... Okay, well, I can't seem to reach that turret. I'm just gonna calm down till the crack runs its course. Using my domestic charge magnet to quickly file a claim with Child Services, because with this gun, the cops and their turrets now registered as my dependents, I have to be on the good side of the law for once. I arrive at a claptrap programmed to go through its rebellious phase, one where a picture 10 years into the future will make it want to hurl itself off the Empire State Building. But knowing this thing is still indestructible as far as I'm concerned, I decide to leave it be, making my way until Cortana speaks up after hearing my complaints, telling me that my next challenge may seem insurmountable, but I can do it, and not to run away, please. I've dealt with all manner of bandits, ops, corporations, bosses. I'm fairly certain no matter what being appears on my pathway to subscribing next, it will not be a problem in the slightest. Okay, Cortana, you're kind of scaring me a little bit. Please say psych right now. Oh god, it's these bitches, help. I don't want the vault, just take me away. Sprinting past these ant colonies, thinking surely nothing up ahead could be this terrifying, this horrifying, this tear-inducing. I was of course mistaken. What is that? A pussy monster suffering from a gonorrhea attack with no doubt a mustard gas-like effect is my next challenge. Not only that, but he's employed the help of the US Air Force, quickly eliminating the sky-bombing threat before my face is indiscernible from Iraq's. I quickly eliminate. No way! He summons more? This time, they're suicide bombers giving their life for the Emperor. I am left aghast that this challenge is this difficult, but quickly use the genital warts as pressure points, eliminating them one by one while attempting to avoid the aircraft carrier's response as this Star Wars stepper-looking character is about to make Vader look like a peak TCLR subscriber compared to my post-Rock Hive state. The only good news is that every time I go down, there are numerous low-health enemies waiting to give me the quick revive, and I survive. Until I realize the game gives me about 3 of them before it decides, alright, that's too much cheating even for the main character. You've got plot armor, not whatever the fuck claptraps have strapped around their motherboard, alright? Good news is, his health is where I left off, felling this great titan first try, securing numerous weapons, while using its vaginal flaps to smoke the pack on gang. I make my way, giddily skipping about to the vault until more rocks explode out, no doubt looking to find their next host or hostess, so I proceed with caution, thinking there might be more dive bombers, about to make Pearl Harbor look like a paper airplane competition. But all I find is the second last vault puzzle, as we now have almost everything we need to witness this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not without my claptrap, though, as there's one more piece held by one Baron Flint, and the salt flats won't open without my claptrap as I'm sent on a search and rescue mission. That's fine. I'm sure wherever he's held is in no doubt a tough area that made me quit earlier. You've got to be kidding me. Better yet, with my return, all the enemies have reset, meaning I am about T-minus 10 seconds away from Kratos jumping off a cliff, God of War coming next week. This time, with my superior weaponry and level, I am able to match the turrets blow for blow, opting for a pussy fight technique, eliminating the towers whilst freeing the tiny robot who was astonished I'm not dead. Well, I will be if I have to repeat this ordeal again. The next job is simple. Spin the block on the salt lands until Baron Flint is blind without his patrols, and then proceed to infiltrate the Thor, whatever that is, assuredly a small bandit camp, no doubt, and steal the piece from Flint. Okay, well, it seems Geneva isn't a thing since she wants me to kill Flint. Why can't I just take... You know what? With the Lance and their actions, it seems obvious that they want the vault too, but since Tannis is an archaeologist and not a fighter, she's leaving all the heavy lifting to me whilst she eats butter cookies. Joke's on you, dark chocolate cookie supremacy. If it lets me sleep, I won't eat. I decide now is the prime opportunity to enact my vengeance from earlier, with my newfound powers taking out the other smoke signals, even though the second one was quite the difficult one to get to. Patricia informs me that Flint is a bit of a loose cannon who, once he got fired for swiping her undergarments to give to Earl, took the vault key in a fit of rage and has been off the rails since. Also, he punched her dog.
That is an Avengers level threat.
Constituting a death penalty-like offense right there. No wonder I can't just sneak in. Baron gives me a call in my obviously unencrypted line and says he's waiting for me as he sends his hordes after me, but that was all part of my plan as I masterfully bait his patrols into a losing battle. Well, I guess there will be no sneaking as he seems to have the Macedonian Russian hacker group on his side. Let's hope no elections come from my killing of Sledge, else we'll be under the SARS monarchy in no time. I break into Thor, let in is a more appropriate term, as Officer TCLR assaults the bandits for resisting arrest despite being pale. Truly inspiring character arc with multiple plot twists and hopefully ending in an ultimately satisfying, if not bittersweet conclusion. I'm gonna miss this character. After another appearance of my biochemical-coated fists, I break in, taking out his vanguard while spending the next 40 minutes attempting to figure out how to open my way into his headquarters, as this mastermind has excellently hidden the entrance as I finally find a way in, not being a secret entrance, but the front door he cleverly hid from my view. I receive some Class A hospitality from Baron Flint as I am let in, but the power betrays his cool entrance. Although he would have ruined it himself with his handgun. I mean, don't you have a real gun? Wouldn't that be more imposing on me? My worries about him not having a handgun have proven to be greatly exaggerated, as the American accent still hasn't betrayed me yet. He sends buckets of psychos that my shotgun makes do of, running up and stealing one of his guns to use against him, and the beefsticks cosplaying the hunchback from Notre Dame if he was assaulted in an acid attack right before coming to work today. I obliterate Hans with so many crits I thought my screen lagged, although considering his head makes Megaminds look minuscule in comparison, I'm not sure what other outcome there could have been. Franz, meanwhile, did get me. I spin back before I die to a regular bandit this time, who smartly decides to run away so that I can't heal my bullet holes by committing first degree, putting me right in front of Flint. Wait! My fists activate as I pulverize the fucker with the acid he used against his goons, running around seeing if anyone else wants smoke, as the burning psychos made the wrong decision of not jumping off the platform to his death and gets introduced to my heat. As I go to secure my spoil... Uh-oh. It seems that Tanis has unfortunately betrayed my trust. I get a call from General Hogavator, who informs me of Tanis accepting their deal of giving them the vault keys in exchange for a D-Day level assault on Earl to re-secure her missing undergarments, leaving me unable to blame her in the slightest. After completely massacring her forces and those goddamn smoke signals, I still hate them. She tries scaring me off, promising if I leave she won't come after me, and knowing I've sufficiently scared her to the point of pleading, I continue my assault as I go track down Tanis. Cortana decides now is the best time to try to be of assistance for the first time since the game started, right before the commander shut down the ecosystem and is now in control of all comms on the planet. I receive a call from the burn victim who says Sanctuary is getting its back blown out like Adam 22 was sitting in the chair beside them, but Cortana cuts off saying I need to go to the vault now or I'll miss my opportunity, but with Pandora's already dwindling genetic pool, if we lose Sanctuary then we're gonna be looking like the Habsburgs in a few generations tops, so I deem to save them first, but not before dealing with the Death Squad branch of her Gestapo, getting out of there. Okay, never mind, it seems like it's fuck them settlers, as my only priority is finding Tanis. I make my way through an anthill, fighting multiple kings and queens. It seems I've caught them in the midst of a civil war, fortunately, as I quickly kill all claimants to the throne, leaving me to establish the Crack Kingdom. I storm Steel's base as she sends her right hands after me. My heat and fists are of military caliber, however, as I obliterate any and everything in my way, breaking through and flanking the opposition as I realistically, might I add, eliminate a corporation's private army with nothing more than main character syndrome. Cyberpunk could never. Eventually, I break through the prisons and find the crazy scientist I've been looking for. She makes the claim that, come on, I didn't betray you, it was all her idea anyways, and I knew you'd enjoy going after Flint. Anyway, she didn't get my underwear back, as even Steel isn't stupid enough to storm Earl's fort no matter the firepower behind her, and instead locked me in here with my Life 360, allowing you to come find me, so yeah, I'm back on your side again. She claims it's too late for the vault and we should open back the ecosystem, giving me some paper towel she wrote the nuclear launch codes on as I prepare for my great journey. I push through to the ecosystem as I try to understand her ramblings, arguing with the rat that shared her cell with her. I don't even know, I have to turn on 3 correspondence, meaning I have to to leave and enter fortified Atlas territory. Unfortunately, they sent the consent-implied death squad after me, as I'm forced to pucker up that anus and try my best to push past, which I do after 5 or so attempts, blitzing through and heading outside to find Yugi talking about the heart of the cards against what appears to be a new Yu-Gi-Oh monster type, the Robo-Soldiers. I max out on ammo, knowing that these beef sponges are going to take an entire battery's worth of ammunition to break through their armor alone, making my way to the first industrial sector where the first transponder is located. Finding a Gatling turret, pinning me down, but with these hands and all my upgrades, essentially making me a tank that can absorb everything, and I do mean everything. I attack head-on and kill it before it kills me. Well, they do kill me, but again, I have that insta-revive as long as I catch a case. Entering the building and turning on the first transponder before moving out back and hitting them from the backside, but they seem to not like that and pistol whip me. But these fists are tougher than any metal Atlas or any planetary corporation can hope to reach. I start the long march in hopes of getting to the next transmitter before the holidays, but alas, with the great distance I was forced to cover, I seemingly failed. Using my legendary switch to eliminate a Gatling turret in record time as the previous predator has now become the prey, no more machine gun nests are going to cause me to slow down. And after missing about 50 of my shots, I decide these hands are too beefy to miss, blitzing my way past the pin down, dodging their bullets before they reach me as I spend the next 5 minutes spazzing around trying to find the entrance, which I do, and after reopening the second console, I leave with no protection in place, leaving the Atlas Corporation with the opportunity to just come back and turn it off. But do they? Well, let's just say there is ample evidence that Atlas Corp's home planet was colonized by Alabama natives. I tried jumping off to improve the genetic pool of Pandora, but alas, my genes still have the chance of getting passed on as I quickly make my way to the third transponder, easier than the first two by a mile as they are preoccupied with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Air Force. Unfortunately, even with Blue Eyes White Dragon on our side, the inner sanctum has those defenders again as I just try to wrap around them and hit it from behind, making my way to the third and final console as I now have to back to the power station to give the degenerates their mod powers back. Gotta make it snappy too. I'm certain we're already seeing and hearing of reports of a mass exodus of clinically obese men in white-stained t-shirts showing up at the local hospital with no family but their body pillows for reasons that will get this video to pay me slave wages. Let's just say there was a sharp uptick in razor blade purchases over the last few hours. I come back to the remnants of the Lance Infantry trying to stop my advance, which would have worked better had they went back to the transceivers and turned them back off, forcing me to either play whack-a-mole or eliminate their entire police force and leaving Steel to go to the vault uninterrupted, but thinking isn't exactly their strong suit. Inside I get some Meridian Lightning. Wonder what this does. I completely forget that lightning guns work little on flesh, unfortunately, and there is a lot of meat and bones trying to stop me from turning on the ecosystem, including defenders and the aptly named badass defenders, forcing me to enter with my fists up, floating like a butterfly and stinging like a semi, using the only weapon I can think of that can give them urinary incontinence after their brain stops sending signals to the rest of their body. I turn on the ecosystem as Tannis says she'll forgive me for not allowing myself to be trustworthy to her, and that I really should get to the vault unless I want Alabama and their corporations to take over the known universe, and for the good of our genes, I deem that the most dire threat as I make my way. Cortana returns and states the obvious, acting like she's helping in any way as I fist my way back out and enter the salt flats where Marcus uses my saving the Echo Grid as his opportunity to show me on some NFTs, which I humbly decline as I enjoy having disposable income. I snag a self-serve as Cortana begs me to go faster, else we are gonna have to find the Fountain of Youth if I want another chance, engaging in a shootout on the Ops' fortified position, but with my range, I prove too deadly to hide behind cover, forcing them to blow a whistle and go over the top. It's right where my automatic wants them. My master stratagem continues as I deduce that a lumbering 4-ton T-Rex hunter will be able to eat through bullets, enough so till he can fist his enemies to death, almost like a true TCLR subscriber. Maybe we don't need the vault. After all, the true journey is the nutrition cubes we've eaten along the way, or whatever. I enter the Iridian Cave system as Cortana reminds me of the necessity for urgency, and I hear ya. This gun made of Schmeat might suck against Atlas, but against these Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, it's deadly. Almost makes you forget this thing is made of flesh, as I half expect it to make a 3 out of 10 quip every 5 seconds. Still did that game though, pin comment. I use the Guardians as my body pillow, and after discarding them from life, I continue the descent, finding the Atlas Corp trying to punch a hole through their defenses, content to just sit back and snipe as they massacre massacre each other. After 20 minutes in my envious position overlooking the battlefield, the Guardians are slaughtered as I'm forced to fist my way through the defenses, making my way to the Iridian Promontory. I have no idea what that means, although I'm fairly certain it's a similar word to grave, as this is where everybody but me is about to be buried. I get a new enemy this late into the game to feast my fists upon, the Principal Guardian. Well, I'm sure I can solve this. Sounds like a math problem I've heard before. Holy shit, math class never taught me the coefficient of an ass whooping though, as this teleportation has me spinning around like I was trying to find out which cup the white ball is contained in, but I'm eventually able to shoot in a 360 direction, massacring even the top Guardians. I continue my way through as this shit is just light at this point, even reloading while the ops continue shooting at point blank range just to let them know what I think of them. The rest of this area is essentially a slug, but with my infinite ammo Iridian gun I never have to worry about running out, as at the end Cortana comes out and acts like she did more than cheerlead with the same energy as we won the lottery. We? Fuck out of here with that French shit, I don't speak croissant. She tells me to brace myself for what the vault has to offer. I'm certain she means I need to be careful and hold back the flood that'll inevitably breach my urethra sphincter after witnessing all the treasure the vault has. I see some guards of the Steel Corporation defending an entrance, knowing that is likely where the Commander's steel is, as I fist my way through, but there's an enemy remaining, and as great as my fists have been this run, they don't have rocket propulsion properties. Well, maybe I should have done the right tree a little. Anyways, let's enter the vault. This is Officer TCLR. I've got a 66, over.
Failed to listen to Commandant Steele. I've warned you time and again. Yet
False
you
alarm, they're all
persist on
middle
ignoring
income,
my
over.
orders. The contents of the vault are rightfully the property of the Atlas Corporation. But you, you belong to me. Sergeant, get your team ready to go inside.
Look at the technique on that penetration. Only a true TCLR subscriber could put on a show like this, although it's not looking too hot for the rest of us. This thing is immortal, but Cortana says, don't worry, the wormhole made it flesh and blood. You've got this, and seeing as how I've already decimated an outpost of this universe's United States, instead of running, I proceed to unload my entire load against this thing. Oh, don't tell me I have to deal with the dive bombers again. This is ridiculous. I run out of ammo on my assault weapon first, and the fire rate on my sniper leaves much to be desired, but my rifle is quickly followed by my SMG as I'm left to attempt to snipe with my shotgun. I'm sure you all know how that went. And after my pistol, my load is blown. I am thankful I kept my Iridian gun, else I'd be forced to fist this thing's tentacles, which I realized would not go well for me. Eventually, after mowing through gun after gun, trying to conserve and take ammo, even something as gargantuan as this has a health bar, and I'm finally able to defeat the thing, deciding to end this off the only way I know how, activating my special ability and obliterating its last star and securing victory. After winning, Cortana let me know there was no treasure to be found and that she needed a superior mouse and keyboard player to deal with the vault monster who would have assuredly destroyed the world, hence the name. And that, yeah, I'm sure Tannis will pay a handsome reward for the key that'll be useless until about 200 years from now. As I find out that she was an automated message bot this entire time. No wonder this bitch was AI. I should have known she just wanted to warn me about my car's extended warranty, leaving me defeated by the fact I'll have to go back to my 9-to-5 and beg my boss for my job back. That's pretty much it. God of War next week, Tales from the Borderlands right after is the plan, and as always, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, check out my other videos in the pinned comment. I'll see you all next time. Peace.